Hey guys, welcome back to the channel and welcome back to another build video in The Sims 4. So today we are building in the world of Willow Creek, and this is actually a build for my Renovating Willow Creek series, but I will go on and tell you guys I'm not super happy with the way it turned out. I feel like that's a bad way to start off a speed build, but I will explain why as we go along. But today we're building on the Potters Splay lot. This is in the neighborhood where Bob and Eliza Pancakes live. And originally when you start a new save file, this lot is empty. So what I've been doing with all the empty lots in the world is I've been turning them into community lots because Willow Creek has plenty of residential lots. I didn't feel like we needed any more residential homes. And I actually had asked you guys for some suggestions on what to turn this lot into because I feel like we have a ton of community lots at this point in the world. And I'm kind of running low on options. And one of you guys suggested a restaurant, and I think that is such a good idea. This would be the perfect location for a restaurant. I feel like in Willow Creek with the little river running off to the side, and you could do some outdoor seating, and I think it would be so pretty. And I do think that I'm going to come back one day and do that and build that. But I don't actually have the dine out pack right now. And every time I see someone using it or talking about it, it sounds like it's a very glitchy pack still. So it definitely hasn't been at the top of my list. But when I get dine out, I will definitely be revisiting this lot and building some kind of fish themed restaurant, I think. I think that's what I'd like to do. But for today, what we're building is an art shop, but it's also kind of an art center. This build is weird. It's a strange build. It's not one of my more well planned out builds for sure. There's also, for the most part of this speed build, there's a residential area up on the second floor. Now I end up actually changing that in the end. In the very end of this speed build, I go back and I start tweaking things around because I got a little paranoid about this build. I finished it about 2 weeks ago and then I started overthinking it like crazy, and I decided to turn it into more of an art center than an art shop because I can't really see myself using the art shop in my own gameplay, and as usual when I overthink things I just made it more complicated. But I do end up changing that residential area to more of a community hangout room. But it would be easy enough to change it back because really all I did was get rid of the bed area. As you guys can tell, it is such a small shell, and I'm starting out working on the exterior of it, of course. And this front area definitely looks like a shop. It definitely looks like a community space. But I did have an inspiration picture for this build as well. I'll try to remember to put it up on the screen now where you guys can kind of see what I was going for. I thought it was such a pretty inspiration picture. I really wanted to put it in my game. I wanted to build something like this, and I actually recently got the Get to Work expansion pack, which I know is such a strange thing to say because I think it was the first ever expansion pack, so it is very old, but I just recently got it for a different reason. So I wanted to experiment with building a retail shop. That's what I decided to put on this lot. And the retail shop that came to mind was an art shop because I love having my Sims paint. I love the painting skill, and I figured that would be something that I would use. Now, I don't really think it would be. I can't really see myself using the retail part of this pack. Maybe that just doesn't fit into my gameplay style or something because I really haven't been excited about the businesses and hobbies pack either. I didn't end up getting that. I'm sure I'll get it later because it has really good build by items. It looks like a beautiful pack as far as that goes, but I guess the retail part of the game just doesn't really interest me for some reason, and I don't know why. I guess maybe because it's too much work. But anyway, the front of the build definitely does have the appearance of a shop, but there's also some random items, like you have a keyboard out there. We have some hopscotch, which I just think that's nice to include some stuff for kids on community lots. But there's also a little dining table with these different colored chairs, which I thought was so pretty. This is a really quirky artsy build, of course, because it's an art shop. Those things are there because I wanted to meet the requirements for an art center just to make the lot a little bit more multi-purpose. So there are some parts of the front of the build that kind of might seem a little bit out of place, but for the most part, they're all still artsy things. Like those murals from City Living, those are kind of weird for a retail shop, but at least they're artsy, so it goes along with that theme. The backyard, however, I closed it in with a fence because my thought process when I started this backyard was that this would be a part of the residential area. So in my mind, someone lived on that second floor. They owned the art shop down below. The front of the building was more of the community space, the public space, and then this backyard area was private. This was just for the people who live here. Also, when we get into the interior, you guys will see that back room where you can kind of see the back door that leads into it right now. That wasn't really meant to be a public space either. I kind of made that into this inspiring room. It originally had one easel in it, and I just packed it full of inspiring decor from the painter career just to really give your Sims that inspiration boost so that they could go back there, work on their paintings that they're going to sell in the shop. But it was meant to be a private area. I feel like you can tell that once we get into the interior. So even though we have that back door, that's not really connected to the shop, or it wasn't meant to be originally. So I start making this backyard for a residential family. And it's a big backyard. It's got a ton of space. And as you guys can see, I have this massive dining table. I did the multicolored different chairs with that as well because I just thought it looked so cute. I'm really into that right now. I think it's adorable. It's such a cute style. But I have a grill. That telescope that I placed down, that didn't end up being functional, and I just deleted it. I got tired of dealing with it. It said it wasn't functional because of the tree, which is strange because there's a bench that's right underneath the tree, and the bench is totally functional. Your Sims can sit on it, they can watch the sky, they can do everything they need to do there, but the telescope wasn't functional, and one of those lounge chairs also wasn't functional, and they are nowhere close to that tree, so I ended up getting really irritated with that. I think I sorted out the lounge chairs. Actually, no, that's not true. I go back and I get rid of the lounge chairs because I moved the bar around. There's also a bar in the backyard, but currently it's pushed up against the shell of the building. It's kind of pushed up against a wall because I wasn't thinking of people being here. I was thinking more that it was a private bar situation. But when I play tested this as an art center, I realized that a mixologist is going to come to the lot and they're going to go tend the bar. And either the bar's not going to be functional, which is what I thought was going to happen, or what actually happened is that my Sims went into this back room, which you can't really see right now, but they go into the back room with all this inspiring decor and they order their drink through the window. They talk to the bartender through the window. So surprisingly, it was functional, but it did not make me happy the way that it looked. I felt like it just did not work at all. So I go back in the very end, I get rid of that bar. I actually got the tiki bar thing, which I didn't realize wasn't a part of the game. Apparently that came from some old deluxe version of the game or something, but you guys can just replace it with another bar if you don't have that one. I'm sorry about that, but I thought it looked really good out there. It was the best option that I had, so I went with the little tiki bar, and I actually put that where those lounge chairs were. So the lounge chairs are completely gone, and I kind of had to tweak the bar around to make sure that it was functional because for some reason that tree decided to cause some serious functionality issues, which is just really strange to me because I don't normally have functionality issues from trees, and it was objects that were just so far away from it. It just was absolutely bizarre. But back to the backyard, the problem I feel like that comes with the backyard is that it's a massive family backyard. We have a swing set, we have a marble circle, just a ton of stuff to do. And then when you guys see the residential area, or what was meant to be the residential area of this build, it's only big enough for 2 Sims at the most. There's a full bed in there. It's basically a studio apartment with a bed and a kitchen. And it does have a full bathroom as well. If you wanted to get rid of the bathroom, you could maybe fit a toddler room in there if you wanted to, because we do have 2 bathrooms down here in the store area as well. And they are both full bathrooms with a shower, just because I was able to fit the shower in there. I know it's kind of weird for a retail shop to have a shower, but it's The Sims, so I decided it didn't matter. It's always handy to have a shower around when you're playing the game. So I know it's not realistic, but there is a shower in all 3 bathrooms on this lot. But I tried to convince myself that maybe this Sim who owns this shop, maybe they have grandkids or they have family members that would come over here and use the backyard with them. But the more I thought about it, this build just bugged me so much. Like, I just feel like I just didn't plan it well. It didn't make sense, and I couldn't make it make sense. And I kept trying to come up with these more elaborate stories to make something make sense. And I just wasn't super happy with it. So what I did in the end was I kind of transformed it as much as I could into more of an art center, like a community space for artists to come together and hang out. I did leave the cash register, which I decided that that was more about the fact that maybe this place sells art for local artists, like they have their art displayed here, and whoever runs this place would offer that art for sale, and they would kind of be the middleman for these artists so that they don't have to be hustling and trying to sell their own art. I know that's not actually something you can do in the game, but that's the storyline I had for the cash register and why it's still there. Also, originally I had that big art selling wall. I can't ever remember what it's actually called, but it's from the City Living Pack. And your Sims can tend the table and they can sell their paintings. I think they can mark them up like 300%. So I wanted to have that in this build because I thought, well, you can get more money for your paintings if you have that. So that's what people would like. I've obviously never built a retail shop before, so this was very much a learning experience. But I did manage to fit it into the art shop. I had to size it down, but it is still functional. It would have some visual glitches, but your Sims can still use it and they can still sell their art on it. But what I realized while I was playtesting was that they have to stand there by the table and they have to be tending the table to make those sales. And if your Sim is doing that, then they can't run an art shop at the same time. So I ended up getting rid of that. I also learned while playtesting that your Sims can sell paintings while they're propped up on the easel. So I put a ton more easels around, and by a ton, I think maybe like 2 or 3, maybe 4. And then in the back room, because at this point, when I'm fixing things, I'm thinking more art center. So instead of having this private area where there's only one easel and it kind of doesn't make sense, I decided to make it into a little club room with the get together club door with the little painting symbol on it, which thankfully was also a blue color, which went perfectly with this build. That could not have worked out better. I'm so thankful for that. But I made it a little club gathering room. There's a total of 3 easels in there in the end. And of course, it's still got all the inspiring decor, so your Sims can go in there and paint and hang out. When I play tested this as an art center, there was a ton of Sims everywhere painting. All the easels had little paintings on it. Also, the Sims love the keyboard out front of the lot. They love that. They tend to hang out there quite often. The high school principal, actually from high school years, she was on it at least twice when I was playtesting this because this build went through so many changes. I have playtested it twice now. At least twice. I feel like I've had to come back to this build. It's been driving me crazy. But I do need to mention one thing about that cash register that I forgot to mention. So I did leave that in the build in case you guys want to use this as an art shop. Like I mentioned, I don't think that's what I will use it as, but I left the cash register in. However, I used the counter from the high school years pack. The one that you get with the thrift tea. I think it's a thrift tea counter, okay? But it's so quirky. It's so artsy. It has these cute little paintings on the front of it. And I thought that was absolutely perfect for this build. So that's the one I wanted to use. Because all you need for a retail shop apparently is a cash register. So I put my little cash register on there and I was so happy with it. And I go to playtest and that counter isn't functional with the cash register. Your Sims will not use the cash register on that particular counter, or mine won't at least. So I swapped it out to one of the get to work counters, and of course that was functional for whatever reason. I don't understand it, and I was so frustrated and I was so irritated, and that's kind of when I decided, you know what, it's an art center. I don't even care anymore. I'm not doing this anymore. And I just went back today before doing this speed build. I went back and I thought, no, I'm going to fix it. I'm going to fix it with the basement trick so that anyone who wants to use this build, it'll be functional for them as an art shop as well. And maybe one day if I want to use it as an art shop, I won't have to deal with it then. I convinced myself I needed to just go in there, get it fixed. So I come into the game, I do the basement trick with that counter. Well, it's still not functional, even with the basement trick, and I don't even care enough to figure out why. However, I then realize that the majority of the stuff that you can do with the cash register, you can also do from the business panel. So it's not even necessary, really, that the cash register be functional. But I always try my best to make my builds as functional as possible, if not 100% functional. And so I do want to mention that to you guys. If you get this build, you want to use it as an art shop, that counter is not functional. Your Sims will not be able to interact with that object. You will have to do your business stuff from the business panel. And if you don't like to do that, then you might want to swap that counter out. But now you guys are seeing all of the changes that I went back and made. I do still feel like this build could work as an art shop. It's definitely a community art shop. It looks like somewhere that would host a lot of community events and host a lot of art gatherings and that kind of stuff. The last change though is up here in the residential area. I got rid of the bed and I just added this little casual hangout couch TV chair, that kind of stuff. I left the kitchen and the bathroom in case you guys do want this to be residential, but overall, this is just a really weird build for me. It's kind of all over the place, but I hope you guys enjoyed it. It's functional, it's play tested, it's on the gallery now, and hopefully you guys will like this build more than I ended up liking it. But thank you so much for watching. I will see you very soon with another video, but that is all for today. So bye guys.